Doesn't look like it yet, but it actually is. It's quite a blue sky today. Where are we here? Just a minute. It's quiet, eh? Thursday morning here. Maybe everybody's watching TV, I don't know. Oh, lights, lights, lights. Click. Right. Click. Right. I did remember my mic though. I can't remember everything. Okay, good morning, good morning. Okay, what we're going to do when I left you at the end of the last stream. Oh, changeover day. It died. And I have a new flat one. So it's too bad this isn't the sizing stream. You can see my new flat keyboard. These things just get, I don't know, they absorb moisture. They get curvy after a couple of weeks or months. They end up being, I don't know. Toss it aside here. Okay, what we're going to do, we talked about this on the last stream, and we are going to carve an extra block for the newly rediscovered Hiroshige print. Oshibori, he's parking, why is he parking down there? Is there going to be a fight between Oshibori and garbage? Who knows? The garbage guy is going to come along and say, that's my territory. I don't know. Okay, for those of you who don't know what's about to go on, it's this. We have a set of blocks, pre-war, about 100 years old actually, set of blocks. And we've been doing some test printing on them. We didn't have a master copy to work from. With the help of the stream here, some specific person in the stream, we did find this image, which was a copy printed from this same block set around 100 years ago. But the block set we have here today doesn't have a block for the rain lines. Over the years, it's become lost. It might actually be here. It might be mixed with another one of these block sets. We've got many sets here, and it could be that the rain lines were carved on the back of a block that was partly for another set. So it could be here. But I just don't have the time to open up and dig through all those sets of blocks that are waiting. So what we're going to do as a short measure, as an interim measure, is simply, I'm going to carve another block to go in this set, and that block will be for the rain lines. It turns out that, through pure coincidence, well, not completely coincidence, there is a blank face here. The back side of the key block didn't get used, which is normal, because normally you wouldn't use the back side of a key block if at all possible. When you carve both sides of a block, especially if it's thin, it tends to remove wood and the block gets more and more liable to warp. So if at all possible, they would have left the key block uncarved on the back. We're going to carve it. It's okay, the block set is very, very stable now after all these years. And there's no information that's going to be lost here. The blocks are identified on the side. But the question is, how do we decide where the lines are going to be? And the easiest way to do that is this. I have a printout from the image that we saw here, and that reminds me where the lines should go. And we have our test print taken from these blocks, which has lots of information that will tell us where it looks like the lines should be. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm simply going to draw on one of these test prints. I'm going to pick one that looks like it's, whatever, we can throw it away with no problem. I'm going to draw on one of these test prints and paste it down on the wood and start carving. Can you think of any reason why that shouldn't work? And this is a test. This is a pop quiz here. I'm going to draw the lines on this print, glue it down, and start carving. Audio, test, test, test. The audio levels, I believe, are exact the same setting as they normally are. Mr. Ernie here is talking about wet paper or dry paper. What do you mean, sir? Expand a bit. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's the same, it's not the Gumpy paper that we use for tracing, but this is our normal printing paper. It's the same kind of paper that we'll be using for making the print when we do get it finished. Yes, somebody's got it. Won't it shrink a bit? There's a very, very key point here. In the ukiyo-e world, or in the Japanese traditional printmaking world, you've got blocks and you've got prints. And always, always, always in the traditional world, it turns out that the finished prints are always smaller than the blocks. Not by much, depends on the size, depends on the kind of paper that we use to make them, but the prints are always smaller than the blocks. The reason is once you've got your blocks carved, they all match, of course, and before you start printing, you moisten the paper in order for the pigments to be properly drinking into the paper. And the moistening process enlarges it. So if you've got a block, so imagine this was 10 by 6 or something, whatever it was. You get your paper, you print, you moisten your paper, and it's the large moistened paper that goes on to make the print. Then when you finish your process, you dry it, and of course it shrinks. So it won't be 10 by 6, it'll be 10 minus something, and 6 minus something. So prints are always smaller than the blocks. So if I just drew my lines on this piece of paper now, and then pasted it down, when it came time to do the printing, it wouldn't work. And what makes it more complicated is that the shrinkage depends completely on the quality and type and maker and how well he shook the sieve and all that kind of stuff. It's not a consistent number. It doesn't vary from sheet to sheet to sheet. It'll vary from lot to lot, from maker to maker, from type to type. And it varies X and Y are different because sheets of paper are rocked in a certain way, and it turns out that because of the way that the mulberry fibers mat together, the Japanese traditional paper expands this way a lot, and it doesn't expand this way much at all. And luckily enough, that matches exactly the way pieces of wood and trees expand. If you make a piece of wood wet, it'll expand horizontally. You know, the grain is running this way. It'll expand against the grain a lot, and it'll expand almost nothing with the grain. So this is why when we're printing, we always keep our paper grain matched with the wood grain. So anyway, so what I'm going to do today is this. I can't trace on wet paper. So right now the paper is dry, but I am going to trace the lines on it, draw the lines on it, and then I have prepared, right next to me here, I've prepared, what did I do with it? Oh yeah, I've prepared a small damp pack with damp newspaper. So after I've drawn the lines, the paper will go into the newspaper. We'll give it 4 or 5 minutes to expand. We'll paste it down and start carving. I'm talking, but I'm not reading. Sorry, there may be questions, there may be stuff I'm missing. Sorry about this. Is there a consistent shrinking percentage? No, not at all. Okay, so give me a minute here while I do this. I think you can sort of see what's going on. I've got the, should I put the picture up there? And because they're all straight lines, nothing to do it. Okay, give me a minute. Let me concentrate on this for a minute. You guys can chat for a sec. I'll come back. Oh, switching glasses reminds me. There's update news. It's 3 months check. I know, what's today? Thursday. Tuesday was the hospital check. 3 month eye check. Nothing specifically special to report. I know the eye problem, the glaucoma, is of course still there. Glaucoma doesn't go away, so I still have it. Is it going to kill me or send me blind this week? No, but it's just progressing as they expect. So nothing special to report. Okay, first, before I start this, actually, I can see already, these are not completely parallel lines. Interesting. They're generally parallel, but some of them are not. Some of them are a little bit skewed. It doesn't really matter. What I'm, of course, going to do is I'm going to follow the lines that I see on the print here. Anyway, the check, the medical check. So the guy, whatever, it was the 3 month. He's really serious, this doctor, about having the check done exactly 3 months apart. And he wants it like to the day, and he wants it at the same time of day. So I have to have the checking done at 2:30 in the afternoon. Because he feels that things like your eye pressure and all kinds of stuff that are going on, he feels these are changed by when you eat different foods and when you sleep and when you get busy and stuff like this. So he wants these eye tests done at the same time of day every time. So I just follow the instructions and just show up. We're on camera, right? We're okay here. So. Am I getting laser treatment? No, this is not a lens problem. This is not a focus problem. What I have is what they call glaucoma, and I'm in advanced glaucoma stage. And it's nothing that you can laser fix apparently. This is a degradation in the retina at the back, and things are what they are, and that's that. It's not moving quickly. We've seen now. I've had 5 checks now, 3 months apart, so we can see the stage of progress, and it is progressing. The area of degradation is increasing, and it's getting closer and closer and closer to the center point. The eyes. At the moment, when I look straight at something, I can see it clearly, but the area of degradation is getting closer. Every time I go there, you can see the map changing. It's like the opposing forces are attacking the castle, and they're getting closer and closer. So I ask him each time, how much more time do I have left with this eye? I ask him, and he knows I'm going to ask. He just laughs. He just says, no idea. It's nothing to do with medications. He hasn't any medications that are going to change it. He's just laughing at me now, so whatever. Some of these seem curved, I can't do a curved line here. What's going on? Oh, I see, it's just not parallel. Okay. It looks so much better already. Look at this. It's going to totally change the print, totally dramatically change it. It's going to be cool. Yeah, I know, they're talking about the eye pressure stuff. I know it turns out, as it turns out, of course, he checks this every time. That's the first thing they do when I go every 3 months. They have their machines, the puff of air. He does it twice. They check the eye pressure. And first the nurse does it with the machine that does the little puffs, puffs, puffs. She writes down the number, and every time it's the same thing. I ask her, I know, what's the number? And she says, you know I can't tell you. It's up to the doctor. Go and talk to him. So she knows my numbers, but she won't tell me. It's okay. So I go in there, when it's my turn then. I go in there, and he looks at the numbers. He goes, And he gets another machine out. And this is a little instant machine. It actually touches your eye. It's got a little thing like a dust mop, really, really tiny dust mop. And it touches your eye. Both times. And he says the same thing, you don't have high IOP. The pressure inside my eyes is not anything higher than specifically normal. So if it was high because of this duct thing, people's talking about this clogged capillaries, blah, 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 blah. We don't have that. I don't seem to have that. He said the fluid seems to be flowing through. You don't have specifically high IOP. So it's not a question of surgery to open the thing up or medication to reduce the pressure or smoke whatever you want to smoke and stuff like that. So it's just, obviously clearly this is my DNA at work, and I am who I am, and this is the tightest part here. There's 4 of them in a row, 5 of them in a row. Oh, there's another bit of news too. I know, does somebody have the link? Maybe I have it in my clipboard history. The link to the copy of this print that's in the Museum of Fine Arts. I got an email from somebody about this yesterday, day before. One sec. Oh, it might be gone from my history. Just a minute. Somebody's got it. Okay, good. Somebody's got it for me. Quoting down. Thank you very much. If you look at the information on that's given on that website, excuse me, it mentions that the print is part of what's called the Lauder collection, Lauder. Now, I knew nothing about this. This was just a name to me. Somebody called Lauder, I supposed, collected a bunch of postcard prints and gave them to the Museum of Fine Arts. There's a backstory. The gentleman who did this, has somebody already been posting about that? The gentleman who did it, the Mr. Lauder that's involved, he is still alive, apparently. Here, there's a letter from somebody here. Somebody sent me this link yesterday. I'll pop it in here. It's his Wikipedia page, and it talks about his collecting. And he's got collecting. I mean, he's also like a Picasso type collector, but one of the things he was interested in was these small postcard prints. And apparently he has like hundreds of thousands of them, and has curated a very nice collection of these things. And they have ended up, or are ending up, in the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. I think we are there. I've made no attempt to make them all exactly the same. I'm just, making rain lines that are similar to the ones we see here. Some of these are a bit long. Well, it's fine. We'll chop them back once we're done. There's something else I should consider, though, too, before I paste this down. Normally we've got, a nice, fresh, new piece of cherry wood. This piece of wood is old. It's 100 years old or so, and it's oxidized and dark. So once I do paste this down, some of those lines are going to be a bit difficult to see, absolutely. So I think what I might do here, thinking about this, what I might do here is I think I'll give myself some visible markers outside here. Might need these, might not, I don't know. Not sure what other news there was to report here. I know I had a list, but it seems to have disappeared from my desktop here. So as far as video updates go, the staff is assembling here on Friday the play button update, the YouTube play button update. I know we talked about this before. We're going to have an unboxing, but rather than me do it by myself, we're gathering a whole bunch of the staff together. It's not fair for me to take it alone. So we're going to do it together, and that's happening Friday. Cameron's coming down from his hideaway on Friday. A bunch of other staff are coming in, and we're going to have a go at making an unboxing video on Friday. Just when it will make its way onto YouTube, I'm not quite sure. But once the box is unboxed, that means, and if all goes well, then on Saturday here, next stream to show. It means next stream, if all goes well tomorrow, the unboxing will have happened, and I can show you and chat about it on Saturday, if all goes well. Okay, give me one more second here, then we'll get this thing moistened and pasted down, and we can do some actual work here, some actual carving. So just give me a few more minutes here on this. What are the news? On our production work, Ishikawa-san's upstairs today. I got her paper out of the fridge. She is now printing the August print, the very first batch that will go out to customers. And she's going to be getting it done this weekend. So we have made it. I'm the guy who was really, really late with this. I didn't get the block set done for them. But we now are ready to go. The Ome people are standing by. Their part of the preparation is done. The packaging is ready and prepared. Ishikawa-san's making the first batch of prints over the next 3 days. And we are publishing. We are up and running with August's print. Then Dei-chan will make a batch middle of next week, and Suga-san is going to make some more. And that'll be that. The September print, the blocks are already here. The blocks are upstairs, already carved, already finished. So even though I was way, way, way late on the August print, the September print is in the can already. So, okay, as I said, before we can paste it down, we have to moisten this. And we're prepared. Before the stream started today, about an hour before the stream started, I got some newspaper. I didn't soak it, but I got it good and moist. It's the same kind of way we treat our normal printing paper. It's moistened up and it's been sitting there ready. We're now going to do the same thing with the paper. woodblock prints. You can put them in a bathtub. Most Japanese prints, you can throw them in a bathtub, you're okay. Somebody set a timer, please. Give me 5 minutes. City. Or Alexa, who should I be asking here? So we have 5 minutes. What should we talk about? Actually, I can get ready. I have to decide what to do here. It's going to be pasted down. Where is it going to go? We have clicks and clacks and pops on this thing. I think we're just going to pick somewhere random here. There's just a bunch of straight lines. We can go anywhere we want. This block too, it's of course no longer a really good block for carving. It's very, very old, very, very dry. Why not ship September's in August and August in September? Because they are seasonally themed. The August print, the one you saw me do, the tiger, there's no actual specific season on that one. But the one we are sending in September is seasonally themed. So as much as possible during this year, we have tried to arrange that the prints go out in a season that roughly matches what they look like. Some of the prints, for example, have had floral items in them or plants. We've sent them in the right season. And the one for September is, I don't know the English word for it. I don't even know the Japanese word. It's a fruit. It's a specific type of fruit which flowers in September and October. So we were thinking about switching them around, but decided to stay with our seasonal thing. I'm going to tap a bit here. Excuse me, I'm going to tap this in. So headphone people, please be careful. I'm going to make 2 or 3 short taps. 2 or 3 short taps. Ready? Coming up now. 3, 2, 1. Okay, a couple more. Ready, just a sec. Moving around here to the side. 3, oops, just a minute. 3, 2, 1. Okay, that'll do us. Actually, this wood seems nice. I was afraid it would be too brittle and chippy, but it seems like it's going to be okay. I think I'm going to be happy here. Look at the color difference. Look at the color difference. So should I plane this down? You know, that would give me such a clean, clear surface. I'm tempted. The problem is it's so nice and flat. Tempting. No, let's just do it. Let's just carve it. 5 minute alarm. Okay, wait. 5 minutes. Hi. It's pencil writing, and it's just the same information here. It's just telling us what's on it. It's Fujisawa. It's actually Xaifu. I think there's no information in my. I'm wondering what I should do. Go upstairs and get my scrapers. No, I think we're okay. Let's just paste it. Let's just do it. It'll be like this. I'll get my wet sheet. Glue goes in, and down she goes. We should be okay. I can't just sand it. Sanding is no good. We need a very, very hard, fine surface here. And sanding is no good. I could plane it, dress it. We've got a problem though, you know, in that I don't want to muck up what's on the back side here. And the more fooling around I do with this. And there's a slight, there's a slight arch on this thing. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it here. There's a slight arch. This thing actually is wibbly wobbly this way. There's no way I can send this through a planer. There's no way I want to muck around with it too much. So we're going to go with the path of least resistance here. Just paste this down quietly and slice some lines. It seems now at printable moisture, this is what the paper would feel like if I were ready to print. So I think we've hit it about right. Not sure. Might be a tiny bit too wet. Let's do. This is a dense piece of wood. It's interesting. Normally, you know, when we put our water on these pieces for pasting down tracings, you've seen me do this any number of times. We put the water on and it soaks in straight away. This water is sitting on top of this wood. This is an indication of just how dense this stuff is. This is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful wood. For those, there's no peel here today. Now, this is not Gumpy paper. We are not about to paste this down and peel it if anybody's starting to get scorecards ready or anything. There's no peeling that will be happening here. This is a straight paste down, and we're going to try and pull off the paper from the back side after it's dry. So no normal peel here today. Relax. I think it's still, look at this. It needs a bit more glue here, I think. Someone's asking, what, do I get nervous doing this? Do I have one really good shot at carving it right? I know that's not how it works. I know in the carving, it's not really one shot. If I did get through this and it turned out that the wood was no good, or it was too soft, or I did something wrong, we just get another piece of wood and do it again. There's no actual point of no return with carving. We can try and try again and do something and try it again. It's the printers, really, when they've got a sheet of paper and they've already printed X number of colors, and every time they put the sheet down on the block, it's got to be exactly right, or they have spoiled it. But for carvers, we don't really have that kind of a specific stress. Okay, now this isn't Gumpy paper, but look at this. If we zoom in a bit here, this is the paper that we've used here to make these prints. This is our normal printing paper, the washi paper from Iwano-san. It's not normally designed to split and to peel, of course. But if you look at what I'm doing here, after pasting it down, we can fool around here, just tearing at the back. And look, there's a sort of a layer there. I can scrape a bit more. And look at this, there's another sort of a layer. Looks like probably that's going to be all we can get layer-wise from this. Might be one more here. And this is a reflection of the way that the washi paper is made. You've seen the videos of this. The guy's got the tub full of mulberry paper. He scoops it in, chuck, 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 scrape, scrape, scrape. Here. Then he scoops it in, chop, 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 chop. And each time he scoops like this when making the paper, there's another layer of mulberry fiber coming up. So all of this kind of traditional paper always comes out like this. It's super layered. So it's not just like the Gumpy. It's not just the Gumpy that we get that works like this. It's basically any kind of Japanese paper that's got a good bunch of body to it. We're just fooling around here now. We're just going to get. So let's do this. Let's take one group back. Let's peel that there. Let's do it again then. Let's try another one. So there we go, look at this. We don't see this with our Gumpy paper. Should I zoom out a little bit and see what's going on? So we've got clearly on this particular type of washi, we've clearly got one layer. Then here we go, a second layer, and then a third one is still down on the surface of the block. And how more we can refine this or pull it, I don't know. But this is typical of any Japanese paper. So let's do this. Let's take off this back layer. One layer gone. Let's take off, this is now the middle of the paper. This is the center of the paper. And we can actually see a print here. There's a ghost version of the print because our pigments come through into the middle. And what's really fun to do is this now. I'm going to chop this up, but imagine if we were just fooling around with this. I could take this now, take my moistened brush, soak this, wait till it's soaked up the glue, and I can peel this off the wood. Let it dry flat, and we then have now a super, super, super thin woodblock print. And it's so much fun to make those. I made one of my Surimono albums. I made the full set of 10 prints first, sent them out to all the collectors and waiting people. And then for fun, I did this with one each of the 10 prints, just on a big flat piece of wood. After they were done like this, I said I soaked it, lifted them off carefully, put them on the fridge door where they dried perfectly flat. And I have in a file over in Ome in the basement, I have a file of 10 super, super, super thin woodblock prints. So much fun. Okay, we were worried about not being able to see the lines. I think we are good to go, even with the wood being dark. I was afraid that maybe we wouldn't be able to see it, but even with the wood being dark, we can see them. And then again, we've talked about this before, at the moment of carving, I'm not going to moisten the whole thing, but at the moment of carving, let's take one corner here. This is Camellia oil. And we have ourselves some very visible lines. It takes away the transparency of the paper. I mean, it takes away the whiteness of the paper and leaves it transparent. We are good to go. Look at this. This is dry now. We have a dried ghost print from Hiroshige. And this is the centerpiece of Japanese washi. The top has been taken away and the bottom has been taken away. We could make prints with it. Okay, how's our time? We're okay, 8:48, good grief. Okay, let's find the setup. We use Camellia rather than other oils. There's, interesting. I don't know what's the word? I don't know the chemistry of why this happens, but it turns out that compared to other plant oils or vegetable oils or oils from flowers or whatever, Camellia oil doesn't go off. You can just leave it sitting there in a bottle and it doesn't get moldy, stuff doesn't start to grow in it. It just seems to last forever and ever and ever. It also doesn't seem to have any adverse reaction to the paper. We use the oil on our Baron, rub the back of the paper, and it really doesn't seem to have any negative adverse reaction. And it's funny, the two countries here, Japan and China, both use lots of Camellia oil. Japan uses it for hair dressing and stuff like that, and China uses it for cooking. So the oil we've got here, I bought, I tried to order it from a company in China like 25 years ago, and it didn't work. The minimum order was a 55-gallon drum for restaurant supplies, 55-gallon drum, like I needed that. But I wrote back and forth, and they agreed to sell, I forget what it was like a 20 liters or something, and I arranged to have them pack it into small plastic bottles. So over in the Ome workshop here, we have a 500 lifetimes supply of Camellia oil in little plastic bottles. And it's funny, they leak. They don't leak at the bottom, they leak at the top. The oil, for some reason, migrates up the inside of the container. It migrates through the threads, and it starts to migrate out and down the top of the container, outside. I have no idea. It's some kind of capillary action, or I don't know. Okay, are we on camera? We're not on camera. Okay. Just a minute. I remembered to check. I remembered. If there's any chemist here who could explain why the oil does that, I don't know. I know it's really tightly gripped down, but it just won't stay inside the containers. There may be some special kind of container that just locks it tightly enough. These are plastic containers with good small threads, and they really seem to screw tightly, but it doesn't matter. Even just sitting there, the oil decides, I want to get out of here. And it's funny, if you left it for like 10,000 years or something, would all of the oil go up and around and down the outside and go away? Or would it balance out? Is this atmospheric pressure, temperature? I know nothing about it, except that I have learned, bitter experience, you cannot leave a container of camellia oil sitting on your desk. And especially not when there's any prints around, because you wait long enough, and as you pick it up, there's a circle of oil around the bottom where the oil has migrated up and down. Cameron, is it a question like, shall we, type your question here, Cameron? I don't know. Do I need to check my mailbox? Incoming mail from Cameron. Oh, it's about tomorrow's video plan. I was telling them, Cameron, about this. I know. Forecast is for rain. We checked last night. The forecast was for 100% sunshine. What? What? Rain? I don't know, whatever. Let's start an email circle with everybody. If it's going to be pouring rain, I don't want to do it. Absolutely. There's no rush. Nanda. The forecast yesterday, we checked while everybody was here, and it said bright sunshine all day tomorrow. Nanda. The world is conspiring against our silver play button video. Won't any rain? Don't know. The wood is, it's interesting, it's hard. It was originally hard and dense. You know, as we've seen, this particular piece of wood was used for the key block. So you can see the kind of lines and stuff that are carved on it. It took a huge amount of detail, and it's been printing that detail for all the years it was used. You know, it wasn't used for a century, but it was used for a good number of years first, and then slept. So it takes really fine detail, these edge border lines. So it was hard and dense originally, so it's got the same structure, but now, because of all the years that have passed, and it's 100 years or so since that front carving was done, perhaps more. So it's lost density, you know. It's not just water, it's not just dry. It's lost whatever oils or rosins or whatever was inside the cells. And we can get away with it, I think, for this block, just for a bunch of straight lines. You know, if I was trying to carve the same as the original pattern, it wouldn't be suitable, just too much detail. And among these lines here, we may end up losing some because the wood is so dry. It's possible that some of these lines will chip or pop off. We'll see, you know. I think I'm okay for this. It's all right. And even when you look back at the original, there are places actually when you're looking at it in the original, they're not all clean, clear, perfect lines. There's lots of places where there's some roughness in the lines. There's places where maybe it's, look at this, it's popped out here. There's a pop out or a chip out here. So they're not actually done as smooth, delicate, fine lines. They're done with quite an amount of roughness. So after I finish carving my lines here the first time through, we'll do some test printing. And then it's quite possible I'll just come back and roughen them up. Because I think if they look too neat and clean, it's not the good effect. You know, you can see. It's got to be a bit more vague, a bit more blurred. So we'll see. I'm not too worried about this. Let's have a go. Have you solved the oil problem? Good. I'll look forward to reading it later and to see what we've learned about that. So. You guys are still on to the oil question, really? So it's a complex point, is it? I'll look forward to reading this later. Very nice. I'll look forward to this. So I was talking about glass, plastic. The bottles I have are plastic, and it's a huge problem. The Japanese traditional way to buy camellia oil is in small glass bottles. I don't have one here, but no, it's in small glass bottles, and they don't have a wide mouth. They're a small glass bottle which rises up in shape, narrows in to a droplet type mouth. And you can't pour the oil out. You tip it up and you dab your cloth or whatever onto it, and then you use your cloth to do whatever you're going to do. So Japanese camellia oil is stored in glass bottles that don't pour. And then there's a big cap that screws down over top of this. And I never thought about it before, but maybe the specific shape of these bottles is an attempt to stop this thing from coming out. Interesting. I had never ever thought of that before. See if I can find a quick image for you here. Just a sec. Interesting. Bingo. Here's that image. Here's an image. Well, anybody can find it. I just Googled it, Japan Camellia oil hair, and you'll see these bottles. They start narrow at the bottom, they widen up, and they come again to a small opening at the top. So maybe. Interesting. You're going to spend a whole hour talking about Camellia oil. The other thing is this too. This is our little, this isn't really, they're never in here long enough. We keep this on our desk. This is the way Goto-san, the baron maker, he sells camellia oil as part of his general supplies for taking care of a baron. And what he's done is he sells it in these little spray bottles, which I find don't actually spray. The oil is in, this is plastic, it's at the bottom, there's a tube down, and when you go choot choot, it's sort of, he thinks it sprays, pss, pss, but I've never been able to get it to spray, so I've just, as you saw, I put a drop onto my palm and used it from there. And I'm not aware that these are leaking, but when you look at it now, actually the label, there it is, the label is all greasy and oily. So I guess it's the same thing. The oil from inside is actually migrating up and around and coming, yeah it is, under the screw here is all oily. It's migrating up and around, and the whole label has become covered with oil. Now my fingers are covered with this stuff now. Oh, yes, Sugi-san used it in the video. Yeah, soka. It's sprayed for her. Whatever. Some people have it, some of us don't. Well, this block, there's no way I'll be finishing it here today, of course. So what I'll do now, actually, because there's no time limit on this block, I don't have to finish this tonight right now. The printer is not waiting for it. So I'm just going to leave this on my desk, and this will serve now actually for the next couple of streams. We'll do what I can do here this morning in the time, and then I'll just leave the block sitting on the desk. So we'll pick it up. Next stream will be Saturday, a couple of days from now. So we'll just pick up this carving. We'll leave it here then for a few days. So, as we were chatting the other day at the end of the previous stream, my work waiting for me right now is mostly video work, it's accounting work, and it's software preparation. And none of those things really work well for streaming, of course. So it's fine. So if I have this little job that stays on the desk for a few days, then that's fine. That'll give us some content. funny about the coincidences that come up to do this. Here's Dave carving this block. The piece of wood hasn't been used for 100 years. This set of blocks has been sleeping here. So why now? Why this? And it's Mitamura-san. Some of those of you who've been watching our flea market, you'll know there's a bunch of yokai reproduction pages that have recently been coming into our flea market. And our printer Mitamura Tsutomu, he's one of the printers here in Tokyo. It doesn't normally work for us. He's one of the printers in the Kumiai, a little bit younger than me. I knew his father. His father used to be the Kaicho-san. So he was his father was the Kaicho-san who allowed me to go into the craftsmen's group back in the mid-'80s when I first came to Japan. So he's long gone now. And this is his son, Mitamura Tsutomu. And he's a printer, and there's not so much work out there some of the time. So he set up his own project. He hired a young carver, Suga-san, not the same Suga-san that we know. He hired a young carver to make reproductions of Kyosai book pages, and he's got a copy of the original book from the middle Meiji period. So, anyway, long story short, he was here a few weeks back. We're chatting about this and that, and he asked me, "Have you got any printing work?" He said he'd heard that we were looking for printers, which we are. And we can't really get into too much of the long story here, but I really wasn't too excited about this because I've learned that the men in the Craftsmen's Association have their own strong ideas about what print should look like, and they don't match our Mokuhankan idea about what print should look like. So in general, どうもありがとうございます。同意版画からですね。Good. ありがとうございます。どうも。Conversation check. Cameron-san, if you're still there, package just arrived from Doi Hanga. Cameron-san, if you are still here. So anyways, I wasn't really all that excited about jumping up and down and hiring him because he's a nice guy and all that, but I just do not want to go through that again. These men do not want to be told how to do things because they have their own traditions, and especially partly maybe because I'm a foreigner, they do not want to accept my instructions on how we want these prints to be made. So I tried to I can't brush him off because he's a friend of ours, but I'm like, I don't really know. I know we've got everything scheduled right now and blah, 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 blah. But he pushed a bit. So rather than just blow him out the door, I remembered that there's a bunch of these old block sets. They're under the shelf in the party room. So I go back there and we pull out the drawer, and there's a dozen or so of these block sets in there. So just to get the guy going and give him something to do and whatever, I pulled out the block set and gave it to him, and as we saw, he's brought back some prints they're certainly not ready for sale yet for a number of reasons, but they look close, So let's do this. Let's carve these extra lines. I'll call him to come back in and we'll chat about it. And now that I have a good real mihon, a good real sample for him, like this thing in the bottom corner here. So if he won't take my instructions because Dave doesn't understand ukiyo-e in his point of view, he can certainly take instructions. There's an old print, and we tell him just reproduce this old print, because that's the kind of language that these guys will speak, so. Cameron's saying, ignore my typos. I don't have any idea what's going on here. What's the question? You're talking to the delivery person. I'm not sure what you're suggesting here. We know these guys. There he is again. It's a crew of people. It's 3 or 4 guys. They rotate. It's not the same guy every day. There's a local delivery station here, and there's a bunch of people working there. 3 or 4 guys delivering, 2 or 3 girls in the office. We know them. The guy comes in. Of course, it's polite to speak to him for a minute, they've changed, you know. I know since in the last few years, the way they deliver stuff has really, really dramatically changed. I know the Yamato system also used to always trucks. They were proud of their trucks. They had them built by a special company, and trucks would drive around all over the place. So if you go back 10, 15, 20 years, this guy delivering down the street would come by truck. They then switched to a system of, which they still use in some places, of tiny little electric vans. They've also got a system of bicycles that pull wheeled carts. And they've worked it out now, whatever the size of their delivery zone, the typical size of packages, etc., etc., etc. And here in this particular area, they have, as you can see, they've got these little green carts. And you can hear them coming down the street from quite a ways away. So you can hear the guy coming. Here, he kicked off the brake and away he went. And I think they've designed them with wheels that are a bit too small, but what do I know? These guys work long, long days. You know, we see him here at 9 o'clock, but he's been in the depot there for hours already. The trucks arrive before sunrise, 5, 6 or so. They get 2 deliveries here each day. The first delivery truck arrives, as I said, sometime in the early morning, maybe 5 o'clock, I don't know. Then there's another delivery that happens in early afternoon, around 1 or 2. And then the stuff going out, they spend most of their afternoon picking up stuff rather than delivering it. They come here to our door twice a day. Once around 1 or 2 o'clock, and once again just a few minutes before 5. And anything we want to send, we get it ready, put the label on it, and I stick it outside, and I leave it out the front door there. I've got to get it there. My particular street, my block right here, my timetable is like 2 or 3 minutes before 5. As long as I can get the package out there before then, they pick it up, and that's it. It'll be in its destination the next morning, anywhere within Japan. Except, like Okinawa, I think, takes a couple of days more, stuff like that. Literally, we just have to leave it outside. And it just disappears, and we know it's going to arrive at its destination. And the money and stuff, it's all post. I know it's all automatic bank withdrawals later on. We don't do the money exchange. We do nothing. Just he drops it off here and runs away. And the other way around, when I'm sending stuff, I wrap it up and I put it outside at 4:58, and it disappears. Oh, show and tell time. Soka, soka, soka. Already. Okay. Good. Yeah, you will see this block again. Look at this. It's so much fun like this. Look at this. You will see this block again come Saturday. So, honey, in the US, packages disappear for different reasons. I wasn't going to bring that up, but now that American has brought it up, it's okay over to you. So, the numbers are astonishing. Did you read this? I can't remember now. The numbers were crazy. There was a story in the New York Times about this. Came in my newsfeed 3, 4, 5 months ago. We must have talked about it. It said something like, I still can't believe the numbers. It was like 110,000 packages disappear in New York every day. And I'm like, no. That's taxi. It's an electronic taxi. That's the Toyota electric taxi. There's been business. The hotel across the street there is actually doing business these days. They're open. People coming and going. Let's put it up here. So it's a taxi. Here we are. And we'll hear the little electric whine as it drives away in a minute. It'll coast off down the street. where were we? We've been flipping through this book page by page to see what exciting things we can find. We looked at also too, this is also fun. What's happening? People are sending me links and stuff. I showed this Katsukawa Shunsen print the other day, and in my mailbox a few hours later, up comes somebody sent some links. The British Museum has this print. They also have other prints in what is the same set. I didn't know anything about a set, but all I know is the one print I have. So he sent links to the British Museum. So what's next? Okay, this is all right, but not actually so horribly interesting, because, do you remember 2 or 3 weeks ago, the book of school, the Tehon, the book of school painting reproductions? These are from that book. So we're not going to spend too much time on these. We're going to move ahead to see the next page is much more fun. Let's just skip. We've seen these before. You saw this book. Just one thing only. The book we saw last week, the pages were all glued into the book, so there was no sense of what they were like. This is what the prints are actually like in real life. They're on very, very, very thin paper, extremely quick and easy to print. The printer who would have been doing these would spend seconds, no more than 2, 3, 4 seconds on any given impression of any given sheet. They were making these things by the bajillion. We'll see more. There's probably more in this book later on at the back. But again, just to recap, we've seen a lot of these on the stream here. These are woodblock prints made in imitations of paintings so that school children would have some samples to look at when they themselves were trying to learn painting. This one's by the famous Kajita Hanko, who would have done the original sketch and then passed it over. Okay, enough. We've seen lots of those. This next 2 pages, there's enough meat here for a year. Where do we start? Actually, it's funny. We mentioned a few minutes ago Doi Hanga. A package arrived at the door here from the Doi Hanga company. We are working with them 2 different ways. We use some of their wood blocks to make prints, sell prints, and then we pay the Doi Hanga company a royalty for using their blocks. We also buy prints from them. They are a publisher, we are a retailer. So the package that has arrived at the door here, the Doi company, we didn't make the print. The Doi company has the blocks left from their grandfather's day, and they are hiring outside printers, and then they are distributing the prints on a wholesale basis. And because we have a shop, we buy from them wholesale. So what we have here, there are 2 Doi sheets of paper. This has nothing to do with Mokuhankan making. This is before my time. This is a print made by the Doi Hanga company. The original one was the Showa 11. If somebody can give us the date, Showa 11, that's 15 years before I was born, which was 51, 41, 1937. So this is a print originally designed and made in 1937. This particular copy is post-war. We can tell because we can see the craftsman's names on. And one, it says the carving was Endo. It says the carving was Endo and the printing is Ito. But this is not Ito Tatsuya, who's still in the Kumiai today. This will be his father. So the printing here would be 1960s, maybe 1970s, not sure. Printing 1960s or 1970s. And there's a couple of things about this print. I know the Doi Hanga company, when they were still vividly making prints, they ordered tons of paper from Iwano Ichibe, the person who is making the paper that we use all the time. And they were ordering so much paper from him, they had their special tool sets arranged in the paper making workshop. They had custom paper made to the sizes, dimensions that they wanted, the thickness that they wanted, and the paper that they ordered from him thus had a watermark in it. And I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. Don't look at the print here. Look at the washi in the corner. Can we get this? I don't know. Can you see there's a Japanese character? How can I do this? There it is. Okay, let's try this. This may not work. Let's try this. I'm going to turn the camera. Do you see it? There it is. Embedded in the paper. And let me get it oriented so it's right side up. Do you see it there? This is the character for do in a circle. It's the same do that's used in Saturday, doyobi, and it means earth. I mean, not earth as a planet, but earth as in ground, dirt, etc., etc., etc. And that's their watermark, and they had it put in all the paper that they ordered from Iwano-san. And it's called, in Japanese, it's called a skashi. And the way they make it is the net of bamboo fibers that the mulberry pours onto, they simply get a bit of wire or metal or something, and they sew the area that you want to be visible as a thinner watermark, they put material there. And then the washi is thus thinner in that section. Now you can't do it here because it would show up as a thin piece of washi in the image, but it's there on the outside. But there's a funny little twist to this. Yeah, this is an absolutely figure of authentication. If you see that, you know that it's a Doihanga print, really, and if you don't see that, you don't. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Because this piece of paper we're looking at here, if I zoom out again for a minute, this particular piece of paper, that's not the size that was made by the paper maker. The paper maker was making a piece of paper that would have been 4 times this. And what we're looking at here is 1/4 of the larger sheet. And we lucked out here and we got the copy that had the watermark. The other 3 copies of this print that had come from the same sheet do not have the watermark. So it's not taken as a sign of authenticity of a woodblock print. It's an authenticity of the sheet of paper that they bought. These days we don't do this. Iwano-san doesn't offer it, and I don't even think it will be possible if the people who make those nets don't exist anymore. So that's just simply not possible. It would be cool to have maybe an M in a circle as a mark for Mokuhankan, but it would be a hugely extra expense. It would be huge trouble, and just more than we want to go for. Now I have a problem. This is interesting. The next one to it is even more interesting. But. I've got to get to work, you know. What time is it now? 26. Let's look at it. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do both. We'll look at this piece of paper today, and we'll also look at it in the next stream. So what I'll do at the moment today is simply just show you what it is, and then we'll do the explaining and the background in the next stream. So let me split this up. What you're seeing here is a it's one of the rarest things that we have in our collection. The Japanese term for it is kyogo zuri. It's the color separation sheet. It's also doihanga. It's also the same series. It's not the same image, obviously. As part of the preparation for next week's stream, or maybe somebody else can find it, you can find an image of this completed print. First step of making a print is to get the line drawing from the designer. And the designer, in this case, Tsuchiya Koitsu, would have given them a design of the little villages, the tree, and some boats. He would have passed this in. The designer didn't create a finished woodblock print with sky shading and sea and all the other stuff. He simply did a line drawing. The line drawing went to the production company, and they did what you saw earlier. We saw a key block. This is a key block for a print, and it carries the lines, the outlines of this building, the square box, blah, 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 the shape of the trees, stuff like this. Once the key block is ready and carving, you need to carve a set of color blocks. And to do that, you make what are called kyogo zuri. Zuri is printing. Kyogo, Kyogo in English. And that's what we're looking at here. The dark areas you see here are printed from the key block. The corner is the key block registration mark. This line is the other registration mark. So when they printed this, they didn't put it into the registration marks. They put it on top of the registration marks because the idea is they wanted to transfer those marks as well. And then what we'll look at in the next stream, we'll investigate exactly what's going on here. What you're seeing as the orange vermilion here, this is painted on by Koitsu. The key set of Kyogozuri go back to the designer. And he says, well, we're going to need a sky block. So he grabs one of these sheets, which are just simply printed sheets. He gets his vermilion pigment and he paints in the areas that he is going to want the sky to be. The sky won't be vermilion. It might be black or blue or purple, or we don't even know what it is. But he uses his brush as a guide to the carver to show this is where we want the sky to be. And this one has secret 1, secret number 2, secret number 3. There's so many secrets here. We can talk about this all day long, all day long, all day long. Let's save this. We'll put this aside right now. We'll wrap up this stream here. And on Saturday, when I do some more carving, we'll do the show and tell. And we'll start the show and tell with this print. And I'll also prepare some backup material so we can take a look and see what's so unusual and rare about this sheet of paper. It's one of the treasures of our collection. Absolutely. Unreplaceable, irreplaceable treasures of our collection. Has somebody got the print good? Because we will need to use a reference back and forth between the original print and this. Let's save that story for Saturday. Right now, for the rest of the day today, for me, it's video. It's the Great Wave Part 17. We've got our YouTube silver play button unboxing video coming up, but before that, we have a video, episode 17 of the Great Wave. We have now completed 2,400 sheets of the Great Wave. People out there are getting really nervous. The block set, is it okay? We have the blocks here. We are inspecting them. We are doing some work on them. And for the rest of the day today, I'm going to be sitting in front of the camera. Good evening. This is Woodblock Printmaker, Dave Pope. It won't be published tonight because I have lots of work to do in this video. But sometime next week, you will see episode 17. Okay, I am out of here. I'll see you again 2 more days from now. Saturday morning, we will be carving this block and looking at more depth of this special Kyogozuri. Let's put the outside up and see what's happening. We got lucky a couple of days in a row there. Various people strolled by. It's, of course, not going to happen every day. The white van over there, this is a band van. It's the van with musical instruments for a group of musicians who give concerts up on the 2nd floor over there above the coffee shop. They specialize in Asakusa music from the pre-war era, from 1920s, 1930s. And they get crowds. Yesterday there was a huge crowd of ladies waiting to get in there. Just what we need in the middle of a pandemic, but whatever things are, what they are. Okay, I'm out of here, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you in two more days. But it's a houseman van. Okay, all right. See you in a couple of days. Thank you very much. Bye for now.